What's up, everyone? Hope you're having a fantastic day. Today is the video that I made the other day that didn't get recorded because, you have to press record when you start talking to a camera. Good tip. I think I'm recording now. Hey, we are talking about the dev stream 122, and it was the roadmap for 2019 for Warframe. Just going to run through the highlights of the dev stream and talk about some of the points on the roadmap, so we all get on the same page. First thing we have is the introduction of, or the mention of 3 new Warframes. 2 were shown. We have Hildryn, which was shown in-game and looks very much like Rhino's sister. One key point about Hildryn is that instead of having energy and using energy for abilities, it will be using its shields for abilities. And it's going to be quite interesting to see how that plays out. As we all know, shields are paper thin for the most part, and using the shield as an energy pool. Anyway, we'll see how that plays out. Hildryn is already in-game in their dev environments, not ready to show us the abilities at this point, but it is running around. Hildryn's going to come with an Arcwing gun instead of a rifle or secondary or anything like that. So it does come with an Arcwing gun. Again, we didn't really see it in action, so we don't know much more about it other than it looks quite buffy and tanky, and we'll be using shields for energy pool. So let's wait and see how that plays out. They also introduced Wisp, which they just mentioned in passing, and we have a depiction of artwork from, I believe it was a fan-created artwork or something similar. So that's all we know about Wisp at this point. They did mention that all of these changes, all these items they're talking about here in this roadmap, are looking to be implemented before TennoCon, which is mid-year. How much weight you put onto that, we all know how things can get delayed, but I would expect some of these items to be coming through relatively quickly. And like I said, we did see Hildryn in the environment running around, so that could potentially be coming in the next few weeks. And then Wisp down the track. And then there is a third one they mentioned, well, didn't give us any details other than to put the number 3 on the whiteboard. So there is a third one out there that we'll have to wait and see. The next big item that they did talk about was a Deck 12 Exploiter. And this is going to be a Valis expansion, Orbs Valis, which is the open world area from Fortuna on Venus. They mentioned it was going to be an event, a boss, and there's going to be some additional lore around it. That immediately strikes me as the Orbs Valis version of the Plague Star event. Could be wrong on that, but an event, a boss, and some lore. It's pretty much what we got with Plague Star, so that could be good. Look forward to seeing that, and hopefully that is going to make more use of the map out on Orbs Valis. Have something to do with the giant spiders walking around. Again, all of this before mid-year, before TennoCon, so look out for that one. The next thing they spoke about was the Gas City rework. This has sort of been talked about a few times, and they've called it amalgams, which is I think they were using that term, the amalgams, to get it away from just the Gas City, which is would have come across as just a reskin. This is they did say this is more of, yes, it's a reskin of the Gas City tile sets, but it is a new game mode. It has new enemy types, new awards, and a bit of lore sort of sprinkled in there. And they showed the screenshot. If you think back, they did mention in previous dev streams last year that the Gas City, I remember there being a platform out in the middle of nowhere where you'd have to leap across and get to, and then you would have to hack a console out there, and if you fell off, and you had to do it again. So it does look like it is, like I say, not just a reskin, and if there is these different game modes that could be something really awesome and something to look forward to. It does look very, the images that we've seen look like they are updated, and I think this might be tied in with dropping support for the 32-bit version of the game. I think that will allow them to start using more of the features of DirectX 12. Potentially gives them some flexibility to do some things they can't actually do at the moment, or that is stripped out of the 32-bit version, so that allows them to work on that path. But if you are running, just as a side note, if you are still running this game on Windows XP or similar, and you are running that 32-bit version, be aware it is going to stop working relatively soon. I'm not exactly sure the date, but it is time to think of upgrading or something, because it will stop working. 32-bit, 64-bit versions of operating systems have been out for a very long time, and I know a lot of people use or play Warframe on older systems and have been getting away with it. They have been struggling with Plains of Eidolon, have been struggling with Fortuna and Orbs Vallis, and it was the writing was on the wall with those two places that the potato systems that were running it were probably going to become end of life very soon, and now it's confirmed that is happening. So it is time to upgrade. Don't know exactly when this will kick in, but anyway, moving on. The next item that they spoke about is the Wolf of Saturn. This is a new system they're trying to implement entirely. This is a new way that the alerts will be. Alerts will get a rework, and this will be part of this Wolf of Saturn system. There'll be new challenges on a daily and weekly basis, and a new villain. And by the looks of this, it looks very much like a battle pass. The rewards on the image that we have been given are just placeholders, but you can see there's like a ladder up the chain. We need to progress up. Now, if this is implemented correctly and with challenges and rewarding rewards, funny that this might be something that can drive engagement with the game and keep us invested and coming back instead of logging on, especially for the veterans who have done everything. Instead of logging on and just roaming around and trying to find something to do, this will give you a daily target to get these things done because you're progressing up the chain of the battle pass. Could be very well done if it's implemented nicely. It could also go very horribly wrong, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. But I do like the idea, and I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to really drive engagement, and that is a big plus in my book. I don't believe that they would make this a purchased battle pass like some other games, but it's yet to be seen. I'd be surprised if that was the case, but time will tell. The next big thing was the new war. They touched on the new war, teased an image here, and not much really spoken about. We sort of have all the info we have. We know it's a big cinematic quest. It's the next one in the chain of cinematic quests. Last cinematic quest we had, besides the Fortuna drop, was obviously the sacrifice, and the large one was the sacrifice, and that was about June last year, so just before TennoCon. They did say this was all before TennoCon. I reckon the new war would be something that's going to come just before TennoCon, if it doesn't get delayed, but I wouldn't expect that anytime soon. I think that'll be towards the end of this cycle. The next item is Railjack, and they're calling it Empyrean now, and Steve stressed the point that it is not just a mission above Venus, as what we saw at TennoCon 2018. As cool as that looked, it did sort of make it look like it was a single mission above Orbs Vallis. It seems it's not that. It is a broader system, a broader change to the game with entirely new systems that will be coming in, and this will really expand the game out. If you saw my video on the PvE idea that I made a couple of weeks ago, this sounds very similar to that. So Either I got really lucky and hit the nail on the head, or I'm just misreading this entirely. But Steve did sort of make it clear that it's not just a mission above Venus. It is, we've got space combat, and it's entirely new systems in space. So you've got to manage the ship. You do have to deal with boarding different capital ships, and there's going to be some rework of the different factions' spaceships. And there was an emphasis on working as a team in this game mode. And yeah, it was stressed that it is sort of a broader thing than just a specific mission. It is more of a direction change, or an additional direction that they're going to go down with Warframe, which I think would be absolutely awesome. And I'm really that's the thing I'm actually looking forward to the most. I think we have I think there's great potential in that zone, as I said in that PvE video, which you can check out. I'll put a card up here for you to have a look if you missed it. The last main thing they talked about was the Plains of Deviri. And the Plains of Deviri is a new faction that will come in. They sort of just teased it at this point. A new faction that will come in, and they've given us an image here to have a look. We don't really know much more about it. Speculation on what and when and who, but whatever. We'll see what that comes out as more details come along. But again, adding to the lore of the game, adding to the variety of the different missions. We can hope that there's going to be new types of missions to deal with the enemy here. They also talked about some items that are sort of ongoing, and one of the key things here, they sort of mentioned broadly, they're looking to rework upgrades and how all that will work. This is something that I don't really think is their focus. The focus would be that roadmap and the big items to drop in. These things will be chugging along in the background. These are a lot of quality of life things and tweaks to game systems that might just might help along. But yeah, so one of the other items was they mentioned something about difficulty and how they could, they're throwing around ideas in the office. They were talking about that it's an issue of ongoing discussion about the difficulty for experienced players versus new players, and how you keep, the range of players in Warframe is massive. So you have people who are still running around run and gun style, and then you've got people who've been playing for a while and have god tier weapons and god tier builds, and they are just blitzing through things, and they're not really experiencing a challenge. So they did say that that's a topic of great discussion in the office, and they were sort of spitballing some ideas, or at least they sort of mentioned some things on the dev stream about potentially a difficulty slider or something like that. Again, I don't think this is their main focus. So if we see anything for this, it's going to be sort of a trial and error type situation. So we'll see how that plays out, if it does at all. One of the big items that they did talk about was with Melee 3.0. Everybody's been talking about it. I mean, they sort of made a rod for their own back with this one, because they mentioned it ages ago, tanking the market for maiming strike, and you know how everyone knows how that worked out. And now they've said that Melee 3.0, instead of being dropped as a single drop for all the weapon types or the melee weapons, they're going to drop it in chunks and accept feedback on each chunk, and then say what worked, what didn't work, tweak that, and then take those lessons learned and move it to the other sets of weapons, and so on and so forth. So make sure you are using the forums for feedback and you are participating in that, because if we don't participate and give them the feedback, then we have nothing to complain about when we get what we get. The old saying, you get what you get and you never get upset. Got to give them feedback. One last item that they sort of mentioned, and we've all spoken about this before, is of course the new player experience. They sort of dropped this image as a tease. Not really sure what we're looking at here, but they are aware that the new player experience isn't ideal, and they have acknowledged that, and they are working on it. Again, they did mention that this isn't their core focus, so they are looking to drop significant chunks and all the things we've already spoken about, significant chunks of content instead of fixing the quality of life items. This one is a big quality of life item, but they do have a smaller team working on this apparently, and it's something to look forward to. We'll see how that goes, and that will, we all know that trying to keep new players in or getting new players engaged in the game or caught the start of the game isn't great. So the community has picked up the parts, but if they can do a new player starting zone or whatever, that will guide people through more than just, currently it's all about the movement and that's about it. Then it throws you in the deep end, nothing about the foundry, nothing about modding, nothing about the market, nothing about builds, formers, none of that. So hopefully it incorporates some of that in the tutorial zone or whatever the new player experience will be. But they are aware and they are working on it, so that is good news to me. A couple of other items real quick. They did show an image of this giant glaive, Arcwing glaive. I assume it's for the Arcwing because it's massive. Yep, okay, that's there. And they also talked about adjusting Arcwings a little bit, but again, I think that's sort of, it may come with the Railjack Empyrean items to make that work because they'll work slightly differently. And yeah, that's about it on the roadmap. And like I say, a few items here are, just placeholders in my opinion. The rework of upgrades and difficulty. Yep, I think this year is they realize that they need to drop significant content to keep everyone engaged. We don't need the spikes of new players or returning players peaking when a big drop comes like Fortuna. And then a week later, it goes away, and we're back to the same base level of players. We do need to increase the levels of players, and again, I think the Wolf of Saturn type battle pass situation will do that if it's implemented correctly. Whole new system like that Empyrean is going to be fantastic for it. Gas City rework, some new ideas in there would be great. The Deck 12 Exploiter, the event on Orbs Valis, I don't know. Whatever, and a new faction. Hopefully that comes along with some really interesting stuff as well. So I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to 2019, and I think this year over last year, as far as content, at least at this point, the roadmap, it looks promising. And I think they have learned that last year's big drops and big hype up for we only got 2 significant drops last year of real content. And as good as they were, it was short-lived. So trickle feeding or building systems that will allow you to trickle feed content on a more regular basis will keep people engaged, even if you don't have these big, massive, overproduced items that are great for a few weeks and then fall off. So anyway, that's what I've got for you today. Let me know down in the comments below what you're looking forward to out of the roadmap for 2019. If you picked up something else from the dev stream that I have missed, let me know. And yeah, if you haven't hit that like button, make sure you do. Also hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all on the next one. Have a great day. Bye.
All right. Sorry, team. Sorry, team.
Stop.
Sorry,
Stop.
team.
Stop.
Sorry, team.
Stop.
Sorry.